Well, welcome, guests. It's lovely to be able to answer any questions you have now. My name is Janine Bulboff. I am a primary school teacher at the German International School. I teach kindergarten and year 2, and I do some music as well. And today with us, we have our head of primary, Clemens Pedanik. And we also have Antje Reeves, who is also a primary teacher at the International School, German International School. And Antje is currently teaching in year 3-4 stage-based classes. And she also is the organizer of our transition program, of our kindergarten transition program at the German International School. So you can feel free. I'll hand it over to you, Clemens.
Okay. Thank you, Janine. Yeah, Janine will moderate today. As you've noticed, she will read questions that you have on the that you can put on in the chat. We also have some frequently asked questions with us from the previous open day sessions and online sessions. So should you not have a particular question, or to get the whole ball rolling, it's always good to ask first some questions, and then you might have your own questions, and then some refinement on some questions, clarifications. Yeah, as Janine said, my name is Clemens Pedanik. I'm the head of primary school since 2013 at this school. I've been a teacher at the German International School since 2008. So I've gone through a lot of processes and changes of the school, which is always a good thing and a very exciting thing, to become a school that is constantly reacting to new developments, to new initiatives, jumping on board with new technologies, or and having the latest research as a base for everything that we do at our school. And in primary school, we have an amazing team of roughly 15 teachers in total. Some are class teachers, some are specialty teachers. And today we have as Janine with us, who will moderate this chat room or this meeting, and also Antje. And yeah, I hand over to Antje to a quick introduction.
Hi, yeah, so my name is Antje Reeves. Herzlich willkommen to unserem virtual open day today. I am a primary and secondary teacher from Germany. So I studied in Germany, finished my degree in Germany, and then moved to Australia. So first I worked at a public school in Australia, and then I started to work at GISS in 2015. So since then I've taught kindergarten up to year 4, because our primary school goes to year 4. And starting in 2021, so this is my first year that I also teach in secondary, so in year 5, teaching German in year 5, which is a great opportunity because we wanted to give the children who transition from primary to secondary a better transition, an easier transition, and having a primary school teacher transitioning with them hopefully makes it a bit easier for them. So Janine has already mentioned that I'm also the transition coordinator for the transition from preschool to kindergarten. So that means our primary school teacher are working very closely with the teachers to also make that transition very easy. Yes, and currently I'm teaching one of the 3 stage-based year 3-4 classes together with my team teacher. And yeah, we're waiting for your questions and hoping to be able to answer all of them. Thank you.
I should also mention, thank you, Antje. I should also mention we also have Ingrid Buenaventura here. Ingrid is our marketing manager at the German International Schools. So if you have any questions in that regard, she's also here, and she's helping me a little bit with the chat channel. I didn't mention before, if you would like to simply ask a question, raise your little hand. It's either at the top of the screen or the bottom of the screen, depending on your device. Or you can, it's a little smiley face with a hand up. Click on the hand there to raise your hand. And if you would like to write a question, there's a little speech bubble at the top. If you click on that, you'll be able to write your question in there. If you would otherwise like to keep yourself on mute, that would be appreciated. I did say earlier, we are recording the meeting. You can feel free to pop your face up if you like, but be aware that this meeting will be recorded. Thanks. We can answer any questions now you might have.
I think while we're waiting for your questions to be either you raise your hand or write them in the chat, one of the main questions, of course, is how big are we? How many students do we have? And Antje has already mentioned at our school, primary school, is from kindergarten to year 4. So that's the German system. In most of the German Bundesländer, it is this way. From kindergarten to year 4, we have 110 students. And as Lawrence already mentioned before, it's in each class we have a really an amazing mix of different cultures, different backgrounds, different languages, and it all comes together in one classroom or in each of the classrooms. And the teachers are really enjoying this kind of international community that we build in the classrooms and across the primary school. And as Antje already said, we have a very important and a very thorough transition program from preschool to kindergarten, and also from year 4 to year 5, because from year 5 on, it's more like a teacher system. They do have class teacher teams who are the main class homeroom teachers, or who are also in charge of all the well-being issues that are in a class. We have this from year 5 on, but we have a lot of different subject teachers. So from year 5 on, you have biology, you have physics, you have different subjects. And whereas for us in primary school, we have this team teaching model. So there are always 2 teachers who are responsible for the whole class. And these 2 teachers mainly, they teach almost all subjects. I can ask Antje, what do you teach in your class? Antje is a class teacher together with an English-speaking teacher or a bilingual teacher in year 3, 4A. And which subjects do you teach, Antje?
So basically, the class teacher teams consist of a German-speaking teacher and an English-speaking teacher. And the English-speaking teacher teaches English. Like in my case, my team teacher teaches English and ethics as well, because ethics is in English. And I teach German and maths. So maths is bilingual. So I'm teaching the German maths, and my team teacher teaches the English maths part. I also teach general studies, which is HSIE, which is now like with the new curriculum, history and geography. I also teach sport and art, and we also have the homework lessons. I'm sure Clemens will talk a little bit more about that later, because the homework lessons are included in our daily timetable. What else do I teach? I think that's about it. Art, sport.
Art maybe.
Yeah, I did art. Yeah, I did mention art. And then we have the extracurricular activities. All the teachers are doing different kinds of activities every Tuesday and every Thursday afternoon. And I do the gardening AG, which is just outside. We have a little school garden, and the kids can do that extracurricular activity once a week. So that's what that is.
Thank you, Antje. As Antje mentioned, we have a homework lesson, or we have 4 homework lessons throughout the week. So the students usually don't get homework or complete assignments to work at home like in regular schools. We have the homework lessons integrated in our regular timetable from Monday to Friday, and usually it's the class teacher who teaches the homework lessons, which means in these lessons students are able to complete any kind of work that they haven't been able to complete during the lessons. They can start working on different projects if they have completed everything, or they can simply use it for reading groups or different activities which the teachers offer. Of course, there are some kind of homework at home, like reading. Reading is very important to us, and we encourage the families, we encourage the students to read at home every day. And there are spelling words, either in English or in German, depending on the grade level, that we also send home to practice at home, in addition to practicing them at school. So during those homework lessons, and sometimes it's classroom lesson, it's a well-being lesson, the homework lesson can be one of these lessons, or simply it can be used as one of the assembly lessons that we have. We have a weekly assembly which rotates in different during the week, so it's not always the same lesson. So it can be that this week the primary school assembly is on Monday in period 5. Next week it's on Tuesday in period 2, and it also depends on the availability of the sports hall, because it's a bigger event. So we are always in the sports hall, and during those assemblies we also try to create this spirit of community. There's a lot of conversations about what makes us us, what is important to us, what are our values, and also the students are a big part of those assemblies. There's always one class who's in charge of setting it up, organizing it, and the students are the PAs who lead through the assembly. And different classes or different individual students get an opportunity to perform or showcase their learning that they have either in the class or outside the class. For example, if they have music tutoring, piano lessons, violin lessons. So there's always a nice round assembly program every week. And Janine, for example, is our assembly coordinator. She always coordinates the assembly, and she also is the director of the 2 choirs that we have. As she said, I do a little bit of music, which is not true. She does a lot of music. She is in charge of our primary school music program, and she managed to lead us through all the trials and tribulations of the past 2 years, where one week we were allowed to sing, the other week we were not allowed to sing. And Janine did it in a very amazing way, and I think the students, they enjoy it even now. Maybe you can talk a little bit about the 2 choirs and about the performances where we participate.
Thanks, Clemens. Yes, I will gladly. So we have 2 choirs in the primary. We have 2 choirs, not only the primary schools. So we have a kindergarten to year 2 choir, an infants choir, I suppose you'd call it. And the choir rehearses during the lunch hour, and the children come and sit and eat their lunch together for 10-15 minutes, and then we use the rest of the lunch hour to sing and play games. And it's very play based in the infants choir, and it's there's a lot of focus on the well-being aspect and having fun and singing a lot. And our other choir is years 3 to 6, although we do have a couple of year 7 students who didn't want to leave. So our what we call the senior choir goes up to year 7 at the moment. And in future years, I hope that as the love of singing grows, perhaps we will have choirs in the higher in the secondary school as well. And we also rehearse during the lunch hour once a week, and we perform at school assemblies and at any sort of events that we might have at school. We had a flea market recently before lockdown last term, and the choirs were very excited to perform there for the first time in about 18 months. And we also perform at our Christmas market, and wherever GISS is, our choir pops up. And also in the Christmas season leading up to the end of the year, we sing in the community at aged care facilities and also out and about. There's one event that we were very much looking forward to participating in, which would have been next week, Clemens. Yes. On the 2nd of September, our senior choir were looking forward to singing in the IPSHA Performing Arts Festival, which is a concert where 6 or 7 private schools from the Sydney region meet together in Sydney Town Hall, and each school presents an act of their own, and then at the end there's a massed choir of about 300 children, and it's a huge buzz for the children to participate in that. And there's a lot of repertoire learning, and the children learn to really knuckle down and aim for a goal, a common goal, and they really love it. And we have a lot of fun with that. However, it was cancelled this year. Obviously, I was hoping it would be postponed, but I think it won't be happening at all. We took part in the event for the first time 2 years ago. And we were very nervous about it, and because a lot of schools who participate are very big schools, and they have a lot massive music programs, but we got up there and we sang beautifully, and the children had an absolute ball, and I think that was and we loved it so much. We signed up for last year, but it was cancelled, and then we signed up for this year, and it's been cancelled. So we'll keep going, but actually we have choir every week online. And about half of the choir are attending each week via Teams because some of the children, and I completely understand this, so some of the children just find that it's too much screen time. And if they have some time in the middle of the day or in the early afternoon, they prefer to be outside, and I completely understand that as well.
That is true, yeah. Thank you, Janine. Thank you. While you were speaking, the first questions were rolling in, and Ingrid is already busy to answer some of the questions in regards to whether there are tests to join the school. Ingrid already responded. There's only one exception, is if you would apply for an early entry into kindergarten. So if your child is not 5 by the start of kindergarten, in 5 years old by the start of kindergarten in January, and then we would ask for an assessment for early entry into kindergarten. That's the only, but yeah. Do you agree, Antje? Antje is our...
Yeah, I would also like to add, because there was a question about 3-4 entry. If your child enters in year 3 or year 4 with no German language skills, they will not participate in the regular German lessons, but they will participate in extra German as a foreign or German as a second language lesson. They happen at the same time as the German lessons, but they are taught by a different teacher, by specialized German as a second language teacher. So they then have the opportunity to learn German. Otherwise, year 3-4 would be too hard for them to just join in the regular German lessons.
But the rest of the lessons, the rest of the lessons, they are always together. It's only during the German lessons that they have a special German as an additional language group. But for the rest of the lessons, they are all together, and the teachers always provide any kind of translation, visuals, so students can follow every step of the teaching right from the beginning of when they enter. I think there was one clarification from Lyubov. If we accept every application, yes, of course, we look into every application that comes in, but as you know, the application process is a longer process. There's always conversations that we have with the families. If we are the right school, sometimes it's probably parents have some very specific needs for their child or very specific expectations. So during the conversations that we have before we enroll students, there are lots of conversations either with Antje, the other Antje from our register, and with me and with our specialists that we have at our school, to make sure that we are the right fit for the applicant. So Janine, now you have all the questions collected.
So we've had the question: do we use computers in primary school? I'll speak for the infants because I'm quite across that at the moment. We have in the last couple of years begun to use a platform called Seesaw in the classrooms, and particularly in the younger years, kindergarten towards the end, they start to use the iPads more, and during the year as well, but with some help. And in year 1 and 2, we use the Seesaw platform with iPads. We have a certain number of iPads which we share between classes, but it's enough. We never have the children we very rarely would have all the children in the class sitting with a device in front of them in those early years, but it's more group work and station work that's used for the Seesaw platform and learning apps that we have at school. I think the laptops, and anyone can chime in and correct me, Clemens and Antje, if I'm not right, in years 3 and 4, they still use iPads for their seesaw because it's very easy for them to upload their work and share their creativity and the work that they've been doing with their teacher, and also the families can also have access to the work that they're doing via the seesaw platform. But the children also start to learn some typing skills and some skills on the laptop as well, more in years 3 and 4. Yes.
We really try to find a right balance of when and how much we use computers. So the students don't have their own computers. We have computers here. The students, we have trolleys either in the library or in classrooms. So the teacher has to book them. So we have a good overview how much screen time we have at our school. But of course, it is important that the students from early on get access to the new technology, know how to use them. And with this curriculum also comes what is the appropriate use of internet and all the technologies and the apps that we have. That goes along from the very beginning. And that's a constant teaching and learning for the students from kindy all the way to year 4.
Okay, we've got another question here with regards to the bus service. I believe that it's booked on a term-by-term basis, or actually it can be booked on an annual basis. Is that correct, Ingrid? I think so.
That's
yes.
correct. Yeah.
Yes. And there's. So yes, and I believe that is on the website to the actual cost if it's over the year or by term. Casual trips are obviously slightly more expensive too if you've got a regular booking, but that's a lot of children use the bus service. It's very reliable, and the children really love their bus drivers, and it's something that's part of their school day that begins when they hop in the mornings, I think. Yes. Okay, I'll just.
There was a question while you're scanning for the question. There was a question about how many subjects or which subjects are taught in English and which ones in German. Would you like to answer that, Antje, since you teach in year 3 and 4?
Yes. Yeah, so basically only English, the English subject is being taught in English, which the English teacher does. All the other subjects are being taught in German. So we have a mixture of like Lorenz said it before, of the German and the Australian curriculum, but it's all being taught in German. Of course, when we see that the child doesn't understand what the task is, what the content is, and then all that, the things that are required for the child to do the work, we will say it in English. we won't leave the child and just see, okay, go with it. We'll support every child in what they need. But like basically when they start school and they've never had a German lesson before, it will be quite overwhelming for them at the very beginning. But normally, and we have quite a lot of experience with that, they learn very quickly. Sometimes you'll be surprised how quickly they learn. Like I would say about 6 months, it takes a child about 6 months to really take it all in and think like, oh yeah, okay, I'm fine now. Yeah, so, but every subject except English.
And of course thank you, Antje. And of course we prioritize some subjects, like for example, math, which you mentioned before in your previous answer. In math, we always have an additional teacher. So from the 5 math lessons that we have per week, we have an additional teacher. Ideally, it is the English teacher from the class or the co-class teacher, depending on availability. And of course, this additional teacher not only looks into the language approach, so provides translations, supports students who are new or not very good in German yet, but also supports the class teacher and the students in the delivery of the content and in the delivery of the concept. So for math, we have provided an additional support also in general studies, which is the mixture of history, geography, and science, everything. We also have an additional teacher in the classroom, either to support them to understand more complicated texts and complicated source material, and also in learning all the skills that we want the students to learn during the learning process. In most of the other subjects like music and art, it is very hands-on activity-based. So it's always one teacher in the classroom, but of course all our teachers are fully bilingual and can ad hoc explain and have support the students if there are any language problems.
Just to add on to that, Clemens, we actually have quite a few students as well who have German even as their third language. So mom is German, dad is South American, and then they come to the German school. So sometimes in our classroom displays, we even have like the numbers in Chinese, or we have some explanations in Spanish. So it's very, so even as a third language. So there's a lot of exposure to international things, Yeah, I just wanted to add on to that.
Can I just add on as well? Sorry, with the ethics and religion, Antje mentioned earlier that she teaches ethics. So the children have a lesson each week, and they choose either to have religion or ethics. And religion, the instruction, the language of instruction is German. And in ethics, the language of instruction is English. So that's also good to know. We had a question, Christian has kindly replied, that someone has asked if it's possible to join at any time of the year or if it needs to be at the beginning of a term. According to space availability in classes, students can start at any time of the year. If there's a vacancy in a class, we have no problem with integrating children at any time of the year. It doesn't make a difference for us. Yes, there are yes, and actually, as Christian mentioned, there are often students coming from overseas or leaving to go overseas, and so there's quite a transition going on, and so there's often spaces opening up during the year, and yeah. Yes.
In regards to when is the best time to enroll your child, I always there's a standard answer that I give you: the earlier the better. Because as from a language learning perspective, the younger the children are, the classrooms, they are more activity based. So for a student who joins a classroom in kindergarten and does not know the language yet, there are so many opportunities during playtime, during group working time, where they just are integrated with other students who can translate anything. They will get a buddy from the first day of school. Students have a buddy that will show them around, that will be able to translate if there is a need. So it is always, as I said, the earlier the better. Children are at a younger age, they are more perceptible to learning languages in a very natural way. The later they come, they tend to learn it more structured, and then maybe also a little bit more hesitant to speak freely. As Antje said before, sometimes you have a student here, and for half a year you think, not talking, but it was also depending on their personality. They probably are, when I talk, I want to do it perfectly, and then all of a sudden, bloop, they speak German, and you're like surprised. What was going on the whole time? You didn't speak any sentence, and all of a sudden they are just fluent, kind of. And that's amazing to see. Yeah. So there was a question about.
Oh, we had a question about space availability for year 4. I'm quite sure there are spaces at the moment in year 4.
Christian already answered to contact the registrar, but at the moment, yes, since we have, and that's probably something we can give a little bit of an insight. Now we have stage-based teaching and learning in stage 2, which means year 3 and year 4 classes are taught together. So we have 3 of stage-based classes. Antje is the class teacher of 3-4A, we have a 3-4B and a 3-4C, and we always look that all the classes are really mixed well together. So there's a similar amount of year 3 students, year 4 students, a similar amount of strong German speakers and strong English speakers, a similar amount of girls and boys. So we are always looking to have a very good mix in each of these classrooms, which of course makes easier if you join or if a student joins from outside. Sometimes a class was full of let's say full of German speakers, and that might be a little bit difficult to first, because the whole language during breaks is German, and then a new student might feel a little bit isolated. So what we are looking now is really that we have a good mix in each class. So when they join the class, we really look where is the right fit for the new students. And those stage-based classes, we are in the third year or in the second year of having stage-based classes. It's the first year where all year 3, 4 are taught in stage-based classes. They are fairly small at the moment, so we have like 15, 16 students in each class, which is really the lowest number which is possible, because students need more interaction, students need this interchange. So what's happening there, maybe Antje can also explain a little bit how a day in a stage-based class looks like.
So basically, based on the German curriculum and also the Australian curriculum, the stage 2, which is the 3-4 years, are together anyway. So the curriculum is one curriculum, and also our GISS curriculum is stage-based. So we plan our lessons as the whole class. But for example, in maths, the year 3 students would work in a year 3 workbook, and the year 4 students are working in a year 4 workbook. And that in itself is again differentiated. So they have higher levels of year 3 workbooks, medium and lower levels of year 3 workbooks. So what we're doing is sometimes when it's the same topic, I'm just going to stay with maths now. When it's the same topic, let's say multiplication, the whole class will be doing multiplication for that certain amount of time. And then, for example, we'll split the year 3s. We'll learn the easier multiplication. We'll call it half written. It's like a split, sorry, a split way of multiplication. And the year 4s will learn the written multiplication. So we're all working on multiplication, and it's just differentiated between the classes and between the different levels. Same for German. We all do German together, follow the same curriculum, but year 3 has their own workbooks, year 4 has their own workbooks, and we'll just, it's very individualized. Like when you enter a classroom, you never see all children doing the same thing, working on the same thing. They're all doing, different things according to their levels. Towards the end of year 4, you can see that the more mature year 4s, they're really becoming very responsible for the year 3s. That's very, very pleasing to see. Ich kann gerade nicht. Nee, frag mal Lorelei bitte, ja? Sorry. Where was I? Wo war ich jetzt gerade? Oh yeah, okay. So it's a really very vibrant environment to be in. I mean, in the public school system, it's very common to have the year 3-4 stage classes. For our international school, that was a long way to get there, and we're very happy that we can have that now at our school. We can do that. Yep.
Thank you. I just see that Antje responded to whether there are availabilities in year 4. Antje said yes, but not much, about 1 or 2 at this point. So, yeah. Yeah, the big advantage of this stage-based learning, as you explained, for example, is really the differentiation goes even deeper. So strong year 3 students when it comes to, for example, learning multiplication. Let's stay with the same example. Strong students from year 3, they might also already start to work with the year 4 students together, because they've already internalized all the concepts that lay underneath the learning of the multiplication. And as you said, Antje, the strong or the mature year 4 students, they tend to support the year 3 students and model the learning behavior from the start. So that's always a very important thing, that when the new year 3 students join the classroom at the start of a school year, there's already a strong year 4 cohort there who is able to model the learning behavior. How do we arrange our learning environment? How do we best learn? Which routines do we need? So through the modeling of the older students, the younger students already learn the right behavior, the learning behavior. Okay. There was one. Oh.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. I just thought I'd bring up the way our school day happens, because it's a little bit different to other schools. We have, our lessons are 40 minutes, and I guess from that perspective, it's almost like in a secondary school where a class, for instance, the class might have maths first thing in the morning for 40 minutes, and then there's a 5-minute break, and then there's the next class, and then it's morning tea. And although one of the lessons is a bit shortened so that the children have a good time to run around at morning tea time, we've what I really find valuable at our school is the fact that we recognize that young children need movement, and they need fresh air, and they need to get out and to reset themselves. And we find it's been proven that children can learn really effectively if they have a break. So, and then that's what we do. The children will have a work phase, a learning phase, and then they go out and they run around, and in between lessons, it's really lovely because the children can mix with each other across the classes. There might be 2 or 3 classes out at the same time, and then they all go back in again. Just a 5-minute break. We call it a Flitzerpause, where everybody just runs outside and has a break. They don't start up a game of basketball, and they don't disappear. They just run around on the campus a little bit, and then the teacher has a special signal or a sign, and all the children come back running back inside again. And at the same time, if there's a learning phase happening and the children need a little bit longer, they work then across that play break, and then they can have their little play break a little bit later. It's very important to us as teachers that the children are physically and mentally ready to learn all the time.
And the teachers always use this opportunity, because of course sometimes there's a double lesson, for example, a double lesson of English, double lesson of math, and then it's additionally important that there are those breaks in between, and the teachers are really very looking at the students, at the cohort, that they need this break right now. And that is possible because we just stepping outside the classroom and you're already on the campus, or you're in a bush area or in the green area, and that is very, very valuable. Yeah, I agree, Janine. Yeah. There was one question about do you have orientation days for kindergarten? I don't know whether the families that we have here today, whether they are interested for kindergarten, but we do have orientation days. And it's again, Antje. Antje is our transition coordinator, so she coordinates the transition from preschool to kindergarten, and she might know more about it.
Yes, so far we have planned orientation days in November, which means the children come in for the morning session. They have a few very short sessions, and they have morning tea together, and they meet their new teachers. We also have a preschool teacher from preschool who transitions with the children, and she will stay with that kindergarten class for 6 months, which is really, really amazing. So basically, in the kindergarten class of the first 6 months, we have 3 teachers. That is really, really lovely. So, yes, so we have basically planned everything as if we would go back to some sort of normal from the 8th of November. Um, yeah, we're still working on that, coming up with a plan B if we cannot have these face-to-face orientation mornings. Yeah, but that's still a work in progress at the moment. So, yeah.
Yeah, we keep our fingers crossed, and yeah, we are champions in Plan Bs at the moment over the past 2 years. That's something where we're really good at. One question that came up in previous sessions, as I don't see a new question popping up. What do we offer after school? So Lawrence already said we have an after school program. We are very lucky to have our own after school program at our school. A lot of schools use outside providers like Camp Australia, but we have our own after school program which runs right after school up until 6 o'clock. And there is a close collaboration between coordinator of the after school care and the primary school team. So the coordinator is part of our primary school conferences if it's possible, and she's always asking for what is our focus at the moment, so she can continue to work on to or everything that is around values, that is around international mindedness. So she continues with the students after school, and it's very popular. We have students who are very sad when parents come in and pick them up, and some even throw tantrums when they have to go home, because it's really an amazing group that we have here, an amazing team that works in the after school program, and it's a continuation of our own program in the after school care, not something that is a big provider from the outside. So that's a big plus that we have at our school.
I can vouch for that, Clemens. My children are always begging me, do you have a meeting today, Mummy? Can't we go to after school care? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
If there are no more questions, I would like to add one more thing. I would like to emphasize that at our school we follow a behavior guidance approach, which basically means when your child is at our school, he or she will never come home with a gold, silver, or bronze award. Yeah, I know public schools, even other private schools, are very big on that, handing out rewards for accomplished work, for achievements, and we don't do that. When your child does very well, and a lot of children are, many of them are, we acknowledge that. We give children constant feedback on a daily basis, one-to-one feedback, group feedback, but we do not hand out rewards. On the other end, if a child misbehaves, does not follow the rules, doesn't do appropriate things, we do not punish that behavior. That means your child will also never come home with a reflection room notice or something like that, because our behavior guidance approach guides us in handling that behavior in a different way, which is, like Lauren said before, intrinsically motivated. So if there is some misbehavior, we will talk about it. One-on-one conversations, small group conversations, because it is proven that rewards and punishments do not work in the long run. For that very short period of time, for a week or two, yes, that child might change their behavior, but in the long run, the child will not learn what it means to behave appropriately. And we have been very successful with that. You can really see when the children move through the years how that behavior guidance approach has a very big effect on their behavior, but also on their learning, because they are intrinsically motivated. They don't learn to get a reward. They learn because they want to learn, because they want to know more, and it's very pleasing to see. And that, I think that is something, and please, Clemens and Janine, add to that, that distinguishes our school from other schools.
I absolutely agree. Yeah. It is. Students are different. They ask differently for feedback. They don't come with a drawing or so. Do you like it? So of course some do at the beginning, and that's a natural. I think that's a natural behavior that we have. But of course we acknowledge and we say, yeah, I like it, but tell me more about it. Tell me what you did here. Tell me what where I can see you and your dreams and your vision in this building, in this picture or in this drawing, or how can I see what you think about the story when we write something about the story. So it's always about reflection, and we try to take the time to have conversations with the students at any time during a learning process. That's very important to us. Yeah. And you can see that later on when students give feedback on other students' learning. If there is a presentation or something, you would rarely hear a student say, I liked it, and that's it. They really said, I specifically liked how you presented this, or I specifically liked how you arranged your thoughts in your etc. So the students from early on tend to give feedback in a more constructive way than just I like it or I don't like it.
Our registrar Antje had mentioned that a question that's often asked, and it might not come to your mind just now, is about our sport and music program at GISS. The children have 3 sports lessons a week. One is a double lesson, and for 1 term a year they have swimming instruction at the very handy swimming pool next door, and for the other 3 they have a double. For the other 3 terms, they have a double lesson of sport and a single lesson of sport as well. And there's a sports day each year, and the children who qualify go on to compete at the Ipswich Sports Carnival. Children are taught to ball skills and ball games, and there is also a program where different year levels have the option to, or different stages actually, have the option to do some extra lunchtime sport. For instance, last year there was basketball for I think it was years 5 and 6, but then there was also, I think it was soccer for years 2 to 3, and so each term there's a different program on offer in that respect. If I'm leaving something out, Clemens and Antje, please chime in.
Yeah, so we don't have the big sports programs on Saturdays, the Saturday sport, because our families, most of our families, they prefer to have the Saturdays where they can have the or where they can enroll their children to the local sports or to the nippers and these kind of things. We've never done that, and we're not going this way at all. But we try to integrate as many activity-based co-curricular activities as well, so students can enroll on those Tuesdays and Thursdays after lunch breaks, either to soccer or taekwondo or tennis, so different activities. And also after school there are possibilities. The tennis club, they pick up students after school and drive them to their tennis club and have the tennis lessons, and parents can pick their children up there, or some parents have the handy swim school next to our school, before school or after school. So we try to have our program, our sport program, in this kind of way. And I think it's a very well-rounded program. But of course, we are constantly looking into possibilities and opportunities to change, to adapt, to start new initiatives. Hi, Antje is here with us. Our registrar, Antje, joined us as well. So we're trying to, of course, constantly look into how can we make our program even better in this regard. And handing back to Janine for the music program.
Oh, I've just seen, Clemens, there's a question here that says, do you have volleyball as a sports program? Now, we have the wonderful thing at our school, I guess, partly to be thanked by the smaller numbers at our school, is that things can be quite flexible. I know that in the last year or so, a basketball team has emerged at our school, and it's because a parent has said, hey, I'll take the boys before school and we'll do this. And if the children, or if there are families or children who are really keen to start something up at our school, it's almost always possible. I can vouch for that myself as a musician, and I'll go on about that in a moment. But if there's no volleyball, but there is interest in volleyball, it's not to say that we can't, that it wouldn't be a possibility. Yes.
Oh, what a great question, the volleyball question. I've played volleyball since the age of 9.
There you go. We've got to take it for the volleyball program.
And I wanted to make a team. I wanted to come up with a team. I was already in communications with management, and we could not get a time for the sports hall. That was very hard because the sports hall is constantly booked for all other sporting events, but volleyball, it's at the back of my head. One day we'll have a volleyball team. And I'll be the coach.
There you go. And I'll talk a little bit about music. We mentioned before that we have the 2 choirs at school, and so during the school, as part of the school curriculum, there are 2 lessons a week. Each class has 2 lessons of music each week. They can sometimes, depending on the timetable, it might be for a semester, it might be a double lesson, or it might be 2 separate lessons. But we teach quite an off-based program, you'd say, Clemens. Yeah. It's a lot of focus on children creating themselves and doing themselves and being able to create music themselves from very early on. And aside from the choir program, the children have, in year 2, they learn the violin for a semester. And all children learn the violin, and afterwards, if they want to continue, they then take private lessons. We don't have an instrumental instruction program at our school as such. It's the infrastructure of the school is not supporting that at the moment. However, we do have a lot of children who learn after school, and they can be part of our ensembles at school. We have a beginner string ensemble, and we have what I call a primary string ensemble. So that's a slightly more advanced string ensemble, and they meet once a week, and I conduct those ensembles, and we rehearse together and play also in the community when we can. And we actually, this term, we're ready to start our first little wind ensemble. We had everything lined up, and we had some interested people, and then came COVID. So we're if a child learns a wind instrument, a woodwind or a brass instrument or percussion outside school, they have the opportunity to be in an ensemble with myself as well. And we also have a rock band at school, which is, although I've been told not to call it a rock band because it's not just rock and roll, but it's a band, and it's for secondary. It starts from year 6, 7, and they play guitars, and there's drums, and there's keyboards, and I know that there are people in the band who play bass in one song and play flute in another, and it's just like a lot of things at GISS. It's very organic, and it's very much based on what we have, and the children really love that. And Catherine Frodvall, our secondary music teacher, is on maternity leave at the moment, and we were just about to restart band after the whole COVID period, and we had some work done in the music room, so that we hadn't had band for a while, but it's picking up soon as well, with a replacement teacher. There was something else I was just going to mention. Oh, the fact that I'm not the only music teacher in the primary school. We have 4 music teachers in the primary school at GISS. Clemens is another music teacher, and we have 2 other lovely teachers who are classroom teachers like myself, who also have an added focus on music and teach music as well.
Thank you.
And
question.
I have a question on behalf of someone who asked me a question, not in the other session, but just 2 days ago via email. I know we have a lot of tutoring after school or even in the breaks for piano, for violin and saxophone. And is there also a tutor who can teach, I don't know what's called in English, contrabass?
Double bass. We could definitely. A double bass would be very welcome in any strings ensemble of mine. We don't have a contrabass lehrer at the moment, but we would be most happy to connect people with a teacher, and we'd be happy to have the lessons on campus if the teacher is prepared to come to campus. We do have some teachers who come to our school after school to teach the different instruments. Yes, that's right. And even though we do not at this point have any double bass players, it is classified as an endangered instrument and most welcome at any school.
So for someone who is in primary school, you could tutor the child who can already play a bit?
I would not teach a double bass student to play the double bass. That would be a disaster, definitely. As a cellist myself, but we could find a tutor. I'm sure.
We could help. Yeah, we could help the parents to find a tutor, and we definitely will be able to provide a space. So either during lunch break or after school. We'll definitely have the spaces here in the classrooms. We have several pianos in different classrooms. So if that double bass tutor also would need a piano, we are happy to arrange that.
Okay.
Speaking of endangered instruments, we have one violist at our school as well, the viola. If anybody plays the viola, I'd love to know. Sorry. Yeah.
Did you have any sort of questions for me during your call in terms of vacancies or?
I think you already answered the one
okay.
about the year 4 vacancy. Yeah. So, everything.
Yeah. Oh, well, so the secondary school session has beat you to it. They are finished. Yeah. Okay, well, if there's no more questions, we may end this session as well. So obviously everyone was able to just raise their hand or ask or write into the chat. That wasn't an issue because that was an issue in the other session. Yes. And if there's any more questions, sometimes that happens, you hang up and all of a sudden a question comes, just email me, just reply to the email that you received. And I'll get you in touch with whoever you need to speak to. And we will send the recording to everyone afterwards. It could be maybe not today, but maybe on Monday, right, Ingrid? What do you think? How quick we are?
Absolutely, yeah, we can get it out pretty fast, Antje.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone, and especially Janine for jumping in and moderating this because I can't be in 2 places.
No problem.
Thank you very much, everyone, as well. Thanks for joining us. And if you have any questions and you reach out to Antje or to me anytime, I'm available here to answer your questions or have an individual video call, and happy to answer all the questions. Thank you very much.
Thanks,
you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a nice weekend.
Bye.
Cheers.